Coming up next is Terry Payne with some public information you might find interesting.
I'm here with City Manager David Watkins.
Hello,
Welcome,
Terry.
David.
How are you?
Just fine.
Good.
And we're going to talk about some of the major issues that are facing our city.
Well,
Kind of
I'm
an
glad to do
overview.
that. Sure, yeah.
I might start with one of your favorite subjects, water supply.
We've made some tremendous progress, in fact, last week in water supply. We received the signed agreement from Central Arkansas Water, located in Little Rock, where they've agreed to allocate 20 million gallons per day from Lake DeGray to the city of Hot Springs. And that will allow us to begin developing a second water source, which we desperately need, in as much as the only source we have now is at Upper Lake Hamilton.
So piecing together the water supply for the future is a very complicated task.
It is because, as you know, we're not making any more water. Water has become a very scarce commodity around the country. Arkansas is blessed in having some very pristine Corps of Engineer lakes, but getting access to the lakes can be very complicated and cumbersome. In the case of Lake DeGray, that water had been spoken for by the Central Arkansas Water Utility, and so we've been negotiating them for about a year and a half to purchase about 20 million gallons per day from them.
So we're happy that that step is accomplished.
Yes, we are, because it gives us a little bit more leverage in looking at other possibilities. We're trying to line up a water supply for this community that will indeed last 100+ years.
Mm-hmm. Let's go on to the other side of the equation, the wastewater system and the improvements that have been mandated by the federal government.
Terry, as you know, one of the major selling points to Hot Springs and Garland County is our lakes and recreational opportunities. Back in the 70s, the Lake Hamilton became very polluted. In the 2000s, we had overruns or overflows in our pump stations, which are part of our wastewater treatment system. And the EPA back in 2008 gave us 10 years to eliminate both dry weather and wet weather overflows that ultimately go into Lake Hamilton. I'm pleased to say that we're 50% there, and the governing body of Hot Springs has authorized a bond issue to enable the city to complete the remaining 50% or 5 years of the plan. At the completion of that, the city will hopefully have the order lifted from the EPA, and we will be one of the cleanest areas in the country.
Then the city has made tremendous strides technology-wise in making those improvements to the wastewater system, right?
We have a very complicated system here in Hot Springs because of the terrain. Mm-hmm. We have 3,500 grinder pumps that are inside and outside the city that we have to monitor. The technology that we're using to monitor electrical failures in those grinder pumps is indeed probably one of the most innovative uses in the world, not just the country, in the world. And we have received a lot of attention for that particular innovation.
Well, that's certainly a feather in the city's cap. Let's turn our attention to downtown, since that has been one of your priorities since you came on board.
Yeah, when I was hired here, downtown redevelopment was one of the top priorities of the board of directors. And I can tell you that we are making progress. It takes a long time to kind of turn the aircraft carrier, so to speak. But we've been working with property owners on efforts to increase our water pressure downtown so that sprinkler systems can be installed, whereby property owners can utilize the empty floors above the ground floor. One of the potential attractions of downtown Hot Springs, we predict, will be the development of downtown loft living very similar to what's going on in downtown Little Rock right now. Downtown Hot Springs is a wonderful location for downtown living, and we're helping to provide that tool so property owners can take advantage of that.
Next week, we will be bringing you more issues to discuss.
Thank you, Terry.